Hi, it's Andy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
Okay, and today we are going to be checking out a band called Machine Head.
Never heard of them.
Never heard of them. And there's a reason we're checking out Machine Head today. So this is all part of, it's my choice. It's all part of a challenge that we're doing called How to Meet Your Idols in 6 months or less. And one of the idols, which is one of my idols, is Mr. Rob Flynn, the metal master himself. So I picked a song which you guys will know. It's my introduction to Machine Head. And there were so many songs I could pick off. You could pick off stuff off the new album. But I wanted to do the video and the song that first introduced me to Machine Head and made me want to go check it out. And that is Davidian. And it is live from, I think it was Dynamo 1992, 94, I think it is. I can't remember. 95, one of those ones. I had it up on screen a minute ago. Yeah, 1995 at Dynamo Open Air. And that was the first time I'd seen the video. I had, and then I think it was that year that I actually got to see them live. But it was the first introduction. And I thought it would be a great way to kind of look at the video and talk about that one at the end. So let's go check out. And we've all heard Machine Head, so we all know it. But it's kind of weird to go back to see the original when they first came to the scene. So yeah, let's go check out some Machine Head.
Let's bring over with the shotgun blast.
Going to Pro mic, back it out, mate.
Shotgun blast! fucking noise, Dynamo!
Machine Head, Davidian at 1995's Dynamo. Well, it's a weird.
Bounce it to Andy.
Well, we've all seen this. We all heard the band
We'll
before,
go
so
on.
it's not like a real reaction in that sense. But I'll let you guys go around and I'll explain a little bit about why I particularly picked this video in the end. But thoughts about Machine Head and Davidian? Go on, Andy. You go. You can lead on this one.
Well, like you, this Burn My Eyes album was my introduction to Machine Head. Was it 92, did someone say? Early 90s?
1994.
94, yeah.
I mean, it was bandied about as the album of the year, most anticipated album, you know, in Kerrang. It was all, you know, it was lots of adverts, lots of talk about it, lots of interviews. I previously had got into that scene from Violence, which Rob Flynn was part of as well. I remember getting Violence cassette demo from somewhere, and the Eternal Nightmare 10-inch Vomit pack, which was...
Oh yeah, when it had the fake vomit included in it.
Well, it was a can of vegetable soup, I think, but making up the vomit. But yeah, so I really enjoyed the album when it came out. This is, again, videos banding around on MTV. This was one of them. I think it's probably one of the most played videos on MTV at that time. You know, going back to this particular one you've chosen, David, I mean, not the best live performance I've ever seen of a song that I know. Few bum notes at the beginning, almost too much emphasis on the performance rather than sort of concentrating on playing the song to make it sound as it should. The breakdown at the end, love that. You know, doom elements there. I think there's rap metal influences as well, which is why on the second album they done the Ice-T cover, which I really like. I must admit, I'm not a huge Machine Head fan. I like this album. I like the follow-up, because More Things Change.
Yeah.
I've had a few sort of delves into their later material. What's Imperium?
Yeah, that's from the album.
What a song that is. Again, due to the
track.
video being banded around on the channels, but I'm not a huge Machine Head fan. So I do love that album. I have got a copy. I haven't played it for a long time. For the purposes of this video, I think I'd have preferred the sort of the official music video, or certainly a better live performance, to be honest. But yeah, good stuff.
Okay. Kirk?
Oh, entirely disagree with you. I think that was a phenomenal live performance.
No, surely not. Me and you disagreeing.
you said that there was
It's not Doom.
Too much emphasis on the performance element, like Logan Mader thrashing away and jumping up and down, and Adam Ducci, the bass player. I love that energy. I thought the vocals were very strong. I thought it was an excellent mix. So what? There's a few bum notes in there. This is fucking heavy music. Look at them. They're wearing Cro-Mags jackets. So at the time, they're listening to hardcore and rap, and obviously Pantera, Biohazard, bands like that. Yeah, like you, Dave, my introduction to Machine Head was just before the Burning Red came out. I picked up a copy of Burn My Eyes. That would have been 1999 from a charity shop for £3. And I put it on. It's the heaviest thing I'd ever heard. And I hadn't really listened to music with those masculine vocals before. You know, I was almost shouting down the mic. I didn't really know how to take that, but I knew straight away that the guitar tone was heavy, crunchy, just that I like it. A lot of treble on there, but also bass. You like groove, don't you? So to me, let me put it in perspective. The best metal album of the 1990s is Burn My Eyes, probably the most important metal album, and saved metal as a mainstream concern in that decade. So Pantera certainly paved the way for the 1990s away from thrash, even though they were influenced by that, and created what we now know as groove metal. Machine Head were the next band to do that. This album dominated 1994, and it gave everyone hope that metal could be taken seriously again, because this is gritty music. We're not talking Dungeons and Dragons here. This is a band that, you know, there was a contract on Rob Flynn and his friends' heads at this time, because they got into a fight with a notorious gang after a Deftones show, and there was a knifing incident. So you look at the lyrics, you look at the imagery, you know, I think Rob Flynn will be the first to use that pejorative term, white trash, to describe himself. I heard that term, but fantastic song. Iconic festival, this, Dynamo 1995. You know, we take it for granted now. You got your downloads, you've got Brutal Assault, Metal Days, Rock am Ring, Hellfest. You didn't have any of that in the 90s. So for these bands, Fear Factory, Machine Head, Life of Agony, to play to 40,000 people was unheard of in Europe in the mid 90s. So again, it's a landmark moment for the genre because metal honestly was entering a period of people just fucking had no respect for it. Andy, you lived through this. I was getting into it because I would have been 14, going on 15, and yeah, no one really listened to metal. Cradle of Filth were popular, but only because they were so anti-establishment. And then you had Korn and Deftones, and they end up influencing Machine Head, even though ironically, Machine Head had certainly influenced some elements of nu metal. So yeah, before I put it back to you, Dave, let me just point out one of my all-time favorite bands. Their new album is a tour de force, absolute return to form, and probably the only band I would say that have 2 Desert Island albums in the discography in 2 different decades, which is unusual. Burn My Eyes, one of the best albums of all time. The Blackening, probably the best album of the 2000s as well. So remarkable achievement, and they've had some shit albums as well.
They've had some albums that are slightly different that people didn't like as much. Let's put it that way. Because actually, the ones that you don't like are actually some of my more favourite ones because of maybe the different tones they did. And weirdly, the reason I picked this one was because at the time I was 17 at the time. We had Scuzz, MTV2. I think would have been the main one that would have been playing the metal stuff. But what you had was lots of videos coming up. So you had Nirvana's was still being kicked out, so you always had Smells Like Teen Spirit still being on rotation. This year you also had, so 1995 at this point you would have had was the year of Escape from the Studio, so we still had Metallica going out, so it would have been Enter Sandman still would have been on rotation.
Oh, it would have been Load album, wouldn't it?
They hadn't released Load yet. That didn't come out until 1996, but this is when they played on the same bill, Machine Head and Metallica on that. That's when they launched 2x4. Would have been their first time of playing that live. We had things like Slash's Snake Pit would have been on MTV. So what we had was a lot of commercial rock and grunge being played, and then this came on. And this was almost, you weren't getting any extreme metal. There was nothing heavy, real heavy stuff getting put on these Scuzz channels. And then they put this on. And that was, for me, was my next step up into the heavier stuff, because I was listening to a lot of like Def Leppard at the time. I was listening to a bit of Pantera, but not that much. I wasn't massively into Pantera at the time. So for me, this was almost like the gateway drug into the heavier bands. And because it was getting put into the commerciality, it was in the media, it was a great way in. And that's what sort of stood out for me. And it was the intensity of their live performance, because at the time, and I agree with Andy in the sense of the quality of the actual song performance was poor in this. It wasn't the best. It was a little bit bummed at places, but the energy of the performance was great. And that's what captivated me from the first time I saw it, was when you listening to it now, I'd much rather pick a more recent version than playing it, because they're tight as hell now. This felt sloppy in comparison. But when I watched them live, when they came out, every other band I was watching on like the festival circuit at the time, they all had their positions on the stage and they stuck to it. Guitarist, the vocalist was always in the middle of the stage, and everyone stayed in their pockets. Whereas with Machine Head, they came out and they almost had such an intensity and ferocity. They were just moving around the stage and jumping up and down. I don't know what Logan's jumping's about. He's like a pogo stick, but there was just something it's almost like you couldn't hold them in place. There's no way to stop them from just moving around. And they came out with this ferocity. They wanted to rip people's faces off and prove a point. But they also did it in clothes that were not really associated with the metal scene in a way. It was more like the skater scene in some cases. And you were like, this is completely different to what you're expecting for a band that looks kind of way they do. You're like, are they going to be like a skater band in their shorts and jumpers and stuff, and then they come out and try and rip your face off or something like that? And Burn My Eyes hadn't been out that long, when you got the whole crowd singing Let Freedom Ring with a shotgun blast. That became iconic, and it still is to every day. It's something that instantly got them. I think they toured with Slayer in '94 on the release of their debut. They got straight out there and they got straight onto the big scene. So it was kind of unheard of for a band that was debut album, brand new to the scene, to suddenly be on the big festival stages. You can even see it from the fact they got the Dynamo. Their backdrop isn't big enough to cover, because they're not used to playing those sort of size of places. Their backdrop is only small and can only just cover part of the sign. And even on their drum kit, I don't know if this is intentional, but the logos on the drums, I think, is just stickers on the skin, because they've actually still got the Premier logo on the drum skins. They haven't even gone and invested in getting full skin covers, which they did later on. So they're still in that early stages, but they still had that ferocity, intensity, and that made me want to check them out. And I would have said, yeah, Imperium was one of the songs I was potentially going to pick as a video, or Ascetics of Hate was another one. Great songs, great, but I was like, well, that's later in my journey. It wasn't my first introduction to them. So I really wanted to share that one, because this was the one that made me go, I need to check out more of Machine Head.
Yeah, I'm just going to repeat, this saved heavy metal in the 1990s. It was still relevant in a small corner of popular culture, and this album is the reason for that. Because Pantera, people knew they were a hair metal band to begin with, very, good Judas Priest type band, and then obviously by the time you get to Vulgar Display of Power, they have the image that sets the team for the 90s, and the Guitar Tone Machine Head, I think, were the ones who solidified that. And it did fill me with despair when they did. So I know you like Supercharger, the 2001 album, but to me, it's like they just turned into a new metal band. The Burning Red was good, the one before it. Obviously not quite as heavy, but I just feared that they would never recover from Supercharger. So that song you're talking about, Andy, Imperium, the 2003 comeback, I remember seeing that on MTV too. When we had to watch, Jamie Jester from Hatebreed started presenting Headbangers Ball, didn't they? And I remember seeing it.
You can see us all go, what?
1 o'clock in the morning. No, and I remember seeing that and thinking, oh shit, the back. That on that song where he reprises the chorus near the end and the double kick drums come in. I was like, fuck you now, this is burn my high standard. It
was a good recovery.
Absolutely. What a song that is, and what a band.
Okay, so there we go. That was Machine Head Davidian live at 1995's Dynamo. So great song. We enjoyed that. Now, if you liked this video, please do subscribe, click the bell icon, like and share. We'll see you on another video sometime very soon. Take care.